is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC.
You are looking live at the world's most venerated racing venue, where history has long been made and will be honored today as the centennial of the Indianapolis 500 is celebrated. The morning cannon blast awakens the fans and alerts the crews to the task at hand, setting off a frenzy of final preparations for the ultimate race. But the centerpiece of every team are the drivers, larger-than-life personalities who drive for the opportunity this race provides to become a legend with a trip to victory lane. But before we crown another champion, we take a tour around the speedway, back in time, as veteran actor William Fichtner guides us through the history of this one-of-a-kind race.
The Indianapolis 500, the most iconic race in the history of sports. And today marks the centennial, 100 years of heroes, tradition, and glory. Make no mistake, there is nothing ordinary about this race. This is the gold standard, a symbol for greatness that plays out on a stage like no other. It started with Ray Haroon in the Marmon Wasp. Now, back in 1911, mechanics rode rumble seat with the driver. They were the eyes in the back of their heads. But Ray wasn't just a driver. He was an inventor. Tricked out with the first ever rear view mirror, Ray rode solo. The Wasp takes the checkered flag, and the Indy 500 is born. Today, the greatest spectacle in racing is just that. 500 miles to immortality. Indy is peerless and original. It's not just built on tradition, it invents traditions. I got news for you. In Victory Lane, champagne is a cliche, but milk is Indy. Milk is one of a kind. Now this track, yeah, she's seen it all. The triumph and tragedy. 2.5 miles of power and grace. And she's been known to drum up a curse or two, so don't cross her, because ask any driver. They'll tell you, she's got a say in who wins this thing. The times have changed, but not this place. And the only thing that kept them from racing here was a world war. But, like America, she came back, stronger than ever.
Now stay tuned for the greatest spectacle in racing.
From 1949, it was lights, camera, action. Television launched the 500 into people's homes, and from there, the legend soared with faster cars, edge of your seat, heart pumping. I can't believe that I just saw that. Racing, that would be Mr. A.J. Foyt to you and me. Immortality. In 1969, it was his turn. Godfather of motorsports.
Here's the checkered flag.
Mario Andretti.
He's won the Indianapolis 500.
But for every legend who solved this riddle, the stories of those who came up empty are legion. That's the harsh reality of this sport. But without the bitter, the sweet wouldn't be as sweet. In 1985, Danny Sullivan opens up a candy store out of turn 2 and leaves Mario with the bill. One of the sweetest moves ever. Spin and win. Just goes to show in racing, you never know. Just ask Sam Hornish Jr. How close was Marco Andretti? 600ths. Well, this is what they race for. With victory comes the honor of having your face sculpted into one of the greatest trophies in sports. Legends like Rutherford, John Cox, Fittipaldi, to name a few. But only A.J. Foyt, Al Unser, and Rick Mears claimed the Borg Warner 4 times. Extraordinary. Today, Elio looks to join that fraternity, but he'll be pushed to the brink by those looking to make their own history. Here's the thing, at Indy, you're either first or forgotten. Cruel? Maybe, but such is life. An opportunity missed, a door unopened, a path not chosen. But every year on Memorial Day weekend comes the chance to cross these bricks and live forever. No votes, no politics, no thanks to the Academy. Nothing. Just driver, machine, pursuit, and immortality.
And that is the goal that has inspired every driver to strap on a helmet for this race, and it is the goal that drives the 33 competitors here today. Today's racer, they're not merely racers, but also participants in a day-long tribute to the rich tapestry of traditions that sets this event apart. Hello, everybody. I am Brent Musburger, so proud to be a part of this centennial celebration of the Indy 500. It is a special day, but as is always the case at Indy, behind the spectacle are the compelling storylines, and so many are in play here this year. There is the ongoing pursuit of three-time winner Elio Castroneves to join the elite fraternity of four-time winners of this race. And the defending champion, Dario Franchitti, is determined to stay patient, pick off his contenders one by one as he starts this year's race from a disappointing 9th position. And always with something to prove as the sport's premier female representative, Danica Patrick, as rumors swirl about her future. Will she make that full-time move to NASCAR? The pressure for her to win this race has never been more intense. And this year's first feel-good story unfolded well before the start of the race. The long and winding journeys of owner Sam Schmidt, a quadriplegic, and his veteran driver, Alex Tagliani, have landed them on the pole position for the centennial edition of this great race. The fans have been pouring in at the historic 16th and Georgetown gate since 6 a.m. Excited to witness more history in the making. And perhaps it will come for the last man to ride into victory lane. He hails from a sleepy town in Scotland. Coming up, Dario Franchitti takes Chris Conley for a stroll down memory lane. But first, on this special day at Indy, we're reminded that the 500 is not merely a car race around the speedway, but also a reflection of America's march through time.
Ray Haroon takes the lead in the first Indianapolis 500-mile race. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
A.J. Foyt, winner of the Golden Anniversary 500-mile race.
Peace is a journey of 1,000 miles, and it must be taken one step at a time.
Eagle looking great. You're going.
Liftoff on Apollo 11.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Mario Andretti, winner of the 1969 500-mile race.
We have every right to dream heroic dreams. Those who say that we're in a time when there are no heroes, they just don't know where to look.
The 1986 Indianapolis 500 champion, Bobby Rahal.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
I believe that's the closest finish in Indy history.
You just don't know what Indy means.
I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you.
187 men have done it. Never a woman until today. Danica Patrick brings it across.
If there is anyone out there who still doubts that America is a place where all things are possible, tonight is your answer.
The 2011 Indianapolis 500, a centennial celebration. Coverage brought to you by Honda. See your Honda dealer and discover the great values now being offered. And GoDaddy.com, domains, websites, and everything in between.
Welcome back to the 2011 Indianapolis 500, a centennial celebration presented by Honda. Well, it started back in 1936 when the winner, Louis Meyer, gulped down a bottle of buttermilk. Since then, milk has come to mean sweet victory at the Indianapolis 500, one of the best known and best tasting traditions in all of sports. While you might expect a security detail and some fanfare, well, in fact, the sacred milk is brought to the track by what else? A couple of milk. Well, there's a man who has twice enjoyed the taste of milk here, the dynamic Dario Franchitti, who starts in the 9th position today. And the reigning champion's love affair with racing began on the narrow streets of a sleepy town in Scotland. Chris Conley helped the reigning champion to rediscover his roots.
It's a certain mentality that Scottish people have. We're very driven, very focused. As a nation as well, we've got this kind of chip on our shoulder. We've always got, we're trying to prove something.
For Dario Franchitti, this has always been home, Scotland. Yet even amid these vistas from Edinburgh Castle, Franchitti is focused on race day.
As much fun as I'm having and as much as I look out over the castle and see Edinburgh and I'm really enjoying the moment, I've got a job to do.
I can tell when he's gone away, when he's gone to his racing place, it's like he's physically present, but the mind is somewhere else.
He's married to actress and activist Ashley Judd. He is a two-time winner of the Indianapolis 500.
Tune up the bagpipes.
Dario Franchitti will win his second Indy 500.
He's a three-time IndyCar Series champ. Yet despite his years in the spotlight, the 38-year-old Franchitti has long been a private man. Ready only now to show the places from his past that made him who he is, like his childhood home in the town of Bathgate.
I remember this was the first place that I actually rode a motorbike.
3 years old, your first taste of a little speed.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure I fell off, but yeah, there was definitely on this hill down here, trying for the land speed record on the way down this this little road here. That's probably the first left-hand corner I ever took.
So right over there, you just take it all the way down?
Yeah, I see that bit that just kind of triggered a memory there.
The real racing began here, the West of Scotland Kart Club, where Dario learned the physical and mental sides of racing.
This is where it all started, and this is definitely home. This is, as a boy, this was my Indianapolis as a kid. This is a place that I first drove a kart for the first time. I won my first race that day.
How big was the trophy they gave you for that one?
The trophy for the first win is about this big, and it's the only trophy in my office. The feel that I have in an IndyCar today and the way I like to set the car up and the feeling I like from the car all comes from what started here. Learning how to pass, to set up a pass, driving in the rain. God, we used to drive in the rain quite a lot here.
Is that right? So your win at Indy, that had its roots in the Scottish rain on this track?
The weather's not like this every day, you know, Chris.
Encouraged by his son's progress, Franchitti's father, George, mortgaged the family home to fund young Dario's racing dreams. The bold gamble paid off. By 1997, Dario was open-wheel racing in the U.S. He met Ashley Judd in 1999. 2 years later, they were married.
I'm very lucky in the fact that when Ashley has the time, and she makes a lot of time to come and support me and what I do, I'm very lucky in that way that she does that.
I absolutely know that I have a parking spot in my husband's heart that is just for me. It always will be. And I know that there are some other parking spots in there, and they are filled with cars.
At the 2007 Indy 500, Franchitti found himself in a seesaw battle on the track until a rain delay left him well back.
I think I was 14. How the hell am I going to get back up there?
The cars queued up, and it was about time to go back out, and I just leaned over, and I said, go pick them off one by one, like the gentleman racer you are. And that's exactly what he did.
Dario Franchitti right now on the march through the field.
I'm driving this thing in the rain, and it's slipping and sliding, and I'm like, just keep going here. And sure enough, here comes the checker. It was an amazing feeling. Ashley was doing her Usain Bolt impression down the pit lane there. To me, that's the special part about winning the Indy 500 is pulling in to victory circle. You see your team and my friends and my family. See my dad's face, man. Wow. You could tell he was just so happy and so proud. And his glasses were all fogged over because it was raining.
At the 2010 500, the Scot they called Dario Speedwagon couldn't be caught, taking the lead right from the start and never letting go.
People say you can't win it on the first lap or the first corner. We did last year. We took off.
Does that happen a lot?
Hopefully it happens this year.
Whatever happens, he'll have Scotland, where his roots remain deep.
This is home. I also think it's the most beautiful part of the world. I find it quite easy to focus here. and look ahead and what I'm going to have to do. I do that with any race, but obviously especially Indy.
Well, Franchitti is one of 5 past champions in today's field. And also in that group is Dario's teammate, the man many consider a favorite to win it again this year, 2008 champion Scott Dixon. Jamie Little is with the New Zealand driver who will be starting from the front row.
That's right. He'll start second in the middle of that front row. And Scott, you were fastest in final practice, and that shows you have speed. But what other indicators say this is a race-winning car?
Well, it's a difficult one, you know. Obviously, you got to get everything right, and a lot of that emphasis goes onto the team, you know, the driver, everybody that's involved. You know, so much pressure on this one big day, and you know, both target cars, I think, have got a great shot at winning today. It's so fantastic to see so many fans here this week, and this past 2 or 3 weeks has just been pumped up. It's fantastic. It's back to how Indy should be. I'm just proud to be in the 100th Centennial.
And the last time Scott Dixon started on the front row, he won. Brent?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jamie. And coming up, Indy rookie Charlie Kimball faces a challenge beyond the intense demands of this grueling race. He drives with a life-threatening disease. Plus the inspiring story of owner Sam Schmidt and pole winner Alex Tagliani in their own words when we continue live from Indy. And if you think those animated cars and Cars 2 can fly around a track, wait until you see what Team Hot Wheels has in store. They attempt to break the world record 4-wheel vehicle distance jump when Izod presents Hot Wheels Fearless at the 500. Coming your way at 3:30 Eastern on ABC. Well, welcome back to Indianapolis, everybody. I'm Brent Musburger. You know, a rookie for the Chip Ganassi team, Charlie Kimball, starts in the 28th position for his first Indy 500. He's the only driver ever with insulin on his checklist. But with some help from modern know-how, he's able to compete at top speed, worry-free.
They say a tool is an extension of the hand. My car is an extension of my body. I am truly the ultimate machine. My name is Charlie Kimball. When I was diagnosed with diabetes, I was afraid it was going to be taken away from me. I didn't know how it was going to work for me as a racing driver. I couldn't find a precedent, and I wasn't willing to give up, but I had to figure out and find tools to make it work for me. In the race car, I have a continuous glucose monitor, and it reads my blood glucose from a sensor on my body. There's a wire injected and a wireless transmitter on top of my skin. It transmits a reading to the pager-like display that I Velcro on the steering wheel. If that shows my blood glucose numbers going low, I've got a drink bottle mounted in the car. I fill it with some glucose-rich fluid. The tube runs right into my helmet. I can suck on that drink tube, bring my sugars up, and I don't have to slow down. The worst-case scenario is I can't correct my falling blood sugar with the drink bottle alone. And during a pit stop, if need be, the team members can give me a shot to make sure that my blood sugar comes back up. I would get tires, fuel, and a shot and make sure I'm good to go. I'm not racing just for me anymore. Now, I've got a whole community of support behind me. If it's the diabetes community or people overcoming other challenges, that's the hope I give people.
Well, Charlie, we've just shown everyone the high-tech system you'll use today to monitor and maintain your blood sugar. Now, from you, what do you consider to be the biggest risk in this whole process?
Well, the biggest risk is the unknown. We don't know how the temperature, the 200 laps, 500 miles is going to affect my blood sugar. So we've had to work extra hard to make sure I'm ready.
Okay, worst case scenario. Your doctor in the pits has told me if she sees numbers she doesn't like, she could ask you to pull it in and park it. How would you respond?
Well, I believe in her more than anything else, you know, and if she said it wasn't safe for me and the other drivers, I'd listen to her. Having said that, I know we've prepared, and I think that's a very, very small possibility.
Glad to have you here. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Folks, for an insulin-dependent diabetic like Charlie Kimball, just starting this race today is a victory. Blip?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Doc. And meanwhile, here are two men named Alex and Sam, but you can call both of them David, as they took on the Goliaths of the sport to capture the pole position last weekend. Alex Tagliani, the driver, is an open-wheel journeyman, if you will, and Sam Schmidt, the owner, is a former driver who was paralyzed in a crash in 2000, and both have long held on to a dream.
If you think about the danger in the sport, you'd never do it to start with, and or you'd never be any good at it. So this has been my lifelong dream, to compete at this row of bricks. And when the accident happened, it was never consideration to sit at home and watch TV all day. I'm still young, and I still believe in my heart that there's a cure for this type of injury.
Since Sam came on board the team, I think it brought my appreciation to what I do to a much deeper level. We went through a lot of challenges and we went through a lot of difficulties to build this team together, but it makes you forget about it, and it's nothing like what Sam had to go through.
I came into being an owner so naive, 10 years ago. You look at some of the people and you say, hey, that looks easy, I can do that, but it's been really challenging. I mean, it comes down to the people. It comes down to the right nucleus of people.
It's the perfect group with the perfect guy in front, and I think that's why we have this chemistry.
It's easy to say now in hindsight, but for the first day of practice when the car unloaded, it was fast. It was really fast.
We knew we had a strong car, but like you said, we didn't know that the car was going to be on the pole. We knew that we had a shot at it.
You'll see the checkered flag, and I believe he's done it. The big two have been unseated at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It won't be a Penske, it won't be a Ganassi on pole. Instead, it will be Sam Schmidt Motorsports and Alex Tagliani.
Buddy, so happy for you. Great.
It doesn't do much for my heart rate, but looking back, as a fan, it had to be incredible, and I know it was absolutely incredible for us, but I couldn't stand to watch his run on the monitor. I just put my head down and listened to the crowd every lap, and when I heard the crowd, I knew we had
it. For me, it's the proudest moment, in my racing career. You believed, and you brought this group together. You inspired us. You're a great leader.
I'm out here competing. I want to win the Indianapolis 500, but the number of texts and emails that I've gotten in the last 3 or 4 days from people with disabilities saying, you're living your dream. You're such an inspiration. I've got to fight to live our dream. I mean, that's a very big part of it.
I'm proud to drive for a much bigger cause and to represent the foundation every time I go out. And this taught me that we can achieve anything, and I want it so bad. There's no word to explain how much I want to bring this race to you.
That's pretty cool up there, isn't it?
I look at that board, I get goosebumps.
And in keeping with the long shot theme, here is today's ESPN Sports Nation poll. Which of the following drivers will finish the highest in the Indianapolis 500? Danica, Marco Andretti, Tags, or Tony Kanaan? So log on to ESPN.com and you can vote. Well, there's a great celebration that has gone on all weekend here at the Indy 500. The crowds have been enormous. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and of course, one of the great legends, Marco Andretti. And the only man who can join the 4-time winners is Helio Castroneves, and he longs to join those legends atop the Indy Plateau.
Indianapolis 500. Winning it, to do it once, it's make you an overnight sensation. Twice, maybe you're lucky. The third time's a charm.
He becomes a 3-time winner of the biggest race in the world.
But to do it 4 times earns your place in history and a fraternity amongst legends. It's been 100 years that only 3 drivers were able to win 4 times at Indianapolis 500.
The checkered flag is out. A.J. Foyt has won his 4th 500.
Everybody, when they mention Indianapolis 500, automatically you kind of like remind about Davey Foy, the guy is a legend.
Alan Sir, winner, Indianapolis 500-mile race.
Alan's a senior. It's amazing what he was able to accomplish. The oldest one to win an Indianapolis 500, the fourth one.
Rick Mears, he will become the third four-time winner of the Indianapolis 500.
Rick Mears, wow, he is my hero. For me, Rick, it's an example of a driver. Those guys back then, it was such a different era. They were able to drive different cars. These days, it changed so much. For me, it would be an honor to join the elite group. It would be a dream come true.
Welcome back, everyone, to the world's most famous motor speedway, where we await the start of the centennial edition of the Indy 500. Fans are ready for what will likely be the only birthday party ever to feature cars traveling in excess of 220 miles an hour. Let's go to Dave Calabro for the driver introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the honorary members of today's starting field. Driver of the IZOD two-seater race car, the legendary name Mario Andretti. Riding along in IZOD's fastest seat in sports, U.S. Army retired Sergeant Latsine Benson, who was wounded serving his country in Iraq. And now let's set the field for the running of the Centennial Indianapolis 500-mile race. Starting 33rd, 2008 Rookie of the Year, Ryan Hunter-Reay. In the middle of the 11th row, making her second start for Brazil, Ana Beatriz. Inside row 11, one of a record-tying 4 women in the race. Ladies and gentlemen, if a man row 10, starting 13th, last year's 4th place finisher from England, Alex Lloyd. Starting 29th on the 25th anniversary of his father's win in this race, Graham Rahal. Inside row 10, one of 5 rookies in the field, Charlie Kimball. Starting 27th, representing the 3rd generation of Andretti's to compete in this race, Marco Andretti. In an unfamiliar position for a Penske driver, in the 26th starting position, Ryan Briscoe. Inside row 9, making her 7th Indianapolis 500 start, Danica Patrick. Eighth row, starting 24th, from Ontario, Canada, the veteran Paul Tracy. In the middle of row 8, last year's Rookie of the Year, Simona Di Silvestro. Making his 10th 500 start, this time from inside row number 8, always popular Tony Kanaan. Outside row 7, the 2002 Rookie of the Year, Thomas Scheckter. In the middle of row 7, from England, rookie Jay Howard. Starting alongside Jay's fellow countryman is Justin Wilson. Masato. Outside row number 3, the two-time winner, defending champion, Dario Franchitti. And next to Dario, from right here in Indianapolis, it's Ed Carpenter. Inside row 3, 2004 winner, Buddy Rice. Outside row number 2, he won this race in 2005. Ladies and gentlemen, Dan Weldon. Starting 5th from Australia, Will Power. On the inside of row number 2, the American with the highest starting position, California's Townsend Bell. And on the front row, on the outside, Spain's Oriol Serbia. In the middle of the front row, 2008 champion from New Zealand, Scott Dixon. And on the pole, driving for Sam Schmidt Motorsports, ladies and gentlemen, Alex Tagliani. Here they are, the 33 drivers for the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500-mile race. Let's salute the field.
And we might add the daring 33. But you know, whatever day it's on, this race is never a party. As the past champions know, it's a pedal to the metal test of character and courage. To win this race, you must resist the impulse to lift up on the accelerator.
The only time you use the brakes at Indianapolis are coming into the pit lane and stopping in your pit box. Everywhere else, your left foot's just along for the ride.
The trick here is being able to run as close to another car and not lift off the gas.
When you're out front, you have to be mashing the gas big time. The air's a lot cleaner, you got a lot more downforce, so it is easier to go flat out front.
You got to be really careful because your foot doesn't have a brain. If you get an itchy feet and you want to go flat out all the time, you might get caught for a big surprise.
My first year here, 2002, I probably had about a 9-10 second lead. I had about 25 laps to go, and I was virtually flat out the whole time and ended up in the wall in turn 4.
In 07 Monday morning quarterback, I should have lifted. I thought it was clear at the time, and I moved that extra inch, and Weldon was sitting right there.
Well, oh no, another crash, and it's upside down. It's Marco Andretti.
Sometimes the closing rate is quicker than you think. Unfortunately, that's what happened to Conway last year.
Oh, we've got a crash! Oh, wicked crash!
Oddly enough, there's not that many laps during the race that you're flat.
It's so long. It's about 3 hours of racing. You not always go flat out. In fact, you gotta lift a little bit.
If that car doesn't feel good going into one, you're gonna lift. Your body will do what it needs to do.
Your mind sometimes is telling you lift, lift, lift. You've got to keep your foot down.
Sometimes you've got to put your left foot over your right foot, hold it there to make sure that old foot's not shaking there in the middle of the corner because you're a little bit scared.
Since we were little kids in go-karts, that's all we tried to do, not to lift. So every time you come here to Indianapolis and you have to lift, it's a little bit of disappointment.
When it comes down to the last 20 laps, that's game time. You need to make passes, you got to stay flat, you got to keep the pressure on the guys in front.
This race is about patience and then being smart when it's time to go. It's not just about being fast. I mean, how many guys being very fast and never won this race? I'm one of them, so trying to learn.
Folks, Folks, look at how far and how fast they've come here. The winner's average speed in that first race 100 years ago, 74 miles per hour. 85 years later, 1996, the fastest car reached 237 miles an hour, still a record at the Speedway. And with the science of speed in mind, we head over to the Craftsman Tech Garage, where Eddie Cheever and Scott Goodyear take a look at the first car to take the checkered flag at Indy.
And Brent, the cars have changed dramatically over the years. Cars today are capable of speeds of over 240 miles an hour. This Marmon Wasp, which won in 1911, average race speed 74.6 miles per hour. And the cars back then were built for two people, for a riding mechanic. And as we can see with Eddie Cheever in the seat, this car was built for one driver, Ray Haroon. And that made the car very narrow and very aerodynamic coming towards the back of the car. It was more of a slipstream. Aerodynamics were in play back in 1911. And the 34-inch Firestone tires were mounted on these rims, and you had to actually change the tire with the rim still on the car. And Eddie's safety back in 1911 left a little bit to be desired.
I don't know if I would use the word safety when I'm describing this car. I have no seatbelts, I have no rollover cage, and worst of all, between me and 20 gallons of highly explosive gasoline is a very thin sheet of metal. I would say that having a big accident in this car is like going over Niagara Falls in a barrel.
Actually probably helps answer the question that we debated for years. Who are the braver drivers? Drivers back then or drivers today? My vote gets 100 years ago.
Thank you, Scott. And there is Dick Haroon, the 96-year-old son of the first winner, and I'll talk to him a little bit later during the 500. And still to come, the courage of Simona Di Silvestro. She endured severe pain to qualify for today's race. Plus a look at Danica Patrick, a woman of many faces, but one passion, when we return to the 500 right after this.
The 2011 Indianapolis 500, a centennial celebration. Coverage brought to you by Honda. See your Honda dealer and discover the great values now being offered.
We are less than 30 minutes away from going green here at Indy. There are so many stories this year, but this one's about courage. Simona Di Silvestro is down below with our Rick DeBrule. Let's go to Rick.
You were in an accident right before qualifying. Your hands were burned. Where did you find the courage to get back in the car and qualify?
Well, the biggest courage was, I think, the fans out here at IMS and also my team and my sponsor, Entergy, to really support me through this tough phase. And I'm really thankful to be with people like that are supporting me.
And she's been a big crowd favorite. I tell you, just asked her about the hands, how they feel. She says so-so, but she'll forget that.
Rick, thank you very much. There are 4 women from different countries in today's race, but the sport's best-known trailblazer remains Danica Patrick. She's the only woman ever to lead at Indy. She's very protective of her public image, but beneath all the symbolism, at the core, she's a car racer.
I just think it's something that's always a bit interesting to people. To find an athlete and a pretty girl at the same time.
I can feel a phoenix inside of me as I march alone to a different beat.
I'm lucky enough people want to put me on TV, and I'm part of a lot of interviews and broadcasts, and people must be curious because I don't always do well.
This test is my own cross to bear, but I will get there.
At the track, I'm definitely tough and aggressive and serious. I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just trying to get my job done.
I can see the heavens, but I still hear the flames calling out my name.
Well, 2010, Indianapolis was a tough year. The worst position that I qualified in, which was last year, was the hardest it's ever been for me to go around here. So, I came in from qualifying and I'm shaking afterwards because there's just so much adrenaline. I get really nervous. So, you know, I come in and sure enough, you know, there's a camera there and they ask you questions, and I got defensive, and I blamed.
It's not my fault. This car is not good.
I almost was trying to do it to boost my own confidence, because I went out there and didn't do well.
I think it was absolutely awful.
I feel bad to let fans down. I became something that they didn't think I was, but I did it, so it must be me, right? I understand, and I got smarter because of it, stronger because of it, and I was saying at the beginning of this month that it feels really good to be walking down pit lane and having people cheer for me. The Indianapolis 500 is its own event. It is the most important beyond anything. I have people that ask me, do you do anything other than the Indy 500? Do you race any other races? Because that's all they know of. It's like instant legend when you win this race. It doesn't have anything to do with where I go or what I do, but always knowing that it is, to me, the biggest race in the world.
There's long been speculation and even media reports this week about Danica Patrick's potential move to NASCAR, but in many ways it's been this racetrack and this race, the Indianapolis 500, that has provided the defining moments in her racing career. Danica, can you imagine not running the Indianapolis 500?
Not today for sure, and probably not ever. This is the greatest race in the world to me. It's what I've always dreamt of from a little girl. There's clips of me at 14 years old on a TV show saying the only thing missing from this room is the Indianapolis 500 trophy, and I think that's how I'll always feel. So I'm just hoping that the GoDaddy car is solid. The conditions are quite different, but I think we have the possibility of having a great day.
You're just moments away from getting into the car. Do you feel anticipation or nervousness?
I think I just want to get going, because then my nervousness goes away, but at this point it's just nervous. I was asking my husband, why do I feel like this? What's happening with me? Why do I feel like I don't want to eat? And he said, you know, like the old days, when you go into battle, you don't want to be hungry, so we're going into battle.
Go get them. Danica Patrick. Brent, she starts 25th today.
All right, Vince, thank you very much. Well, on this special holiday, we have a very special national anthem befitting the occasion. We'll return to Indy after this.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick, and you're watching History in the Making, the 100th anniversary of the Indianapolis 500. Telecast is presented by GoDaddy.com on ABC.